Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we, sort through all the noise, gather up our sources, and try to pull out those really fascinating bits of knowledge you might not find elsewhere. Today, we're diving into something pretty special from the world of watches. It's the Nivada Grenchen Chronosport Blue. And our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to unpack the story of how this watch became a reborn classic. It's kind of a wild ride, actually. Born from a prototype that was never produced, and then boom, a viral social media thing brings it to life. We're going to look at this mix of history, design, and how accessible it is now, especially with all the great details we've got from our source material. So yeah, let's kick things off with this unexpected resurrection. Nivada Grenchen itself, it's got quite a history, right? Founded way back in
That's
1926.
right, a long history. And they built up a really sizable portfolio over the years. Iconic stuff like the Depthmaster Pac-Man, the Super Antarctic, really cool pieces.
So like a lot of brands, they hit a rough patch during the quartz crisis, that whole period in the 70s, 80s.
Oh, absolutely. That really shook up the Swiss watch industry. Battery-powered quartz watches almost wiped out mechanical watchmaking for a while there.
But Nevada Grenchen, they managed to come back, made a return in 2020 doing these really faithful, kind of accessible reissues.
Yeah, a strong comeback.
And here's where the Chronosport Blue story gets, well, really interesting. This isn't just pulling an old model from the archives, it's based on a prototype,
Yeah.
one that apparently never saw proper production back in the day.
Exactly. Our sources say only about maybe 20 of the original prototypes were ever actually made. That's it.
Wow, only 20. So these new ones are, you could say there's literally 5 decades in the making.
Pretty much. And what's fascinating really is how it happened. Modern tech, a bit of luck. Guillaume Ledet, who took over the brand in 2018, he apparently just stumbled on one of these super rare prototypes at an auction.
Just stumbled on it. Okay.
Yeah. And then, very 21st century, he just posts a picture on Instagram.
Ah, the power of social media.
Totally. The reaction was, well, instant. It went viral. That post basically proved right then and there that people wanted this watch.
So the demand was obvious.
Undeniable. And that immediately led to plans to actually produce it. It makes you think, doesn't it? How digital engagement can just completely change the game for these niche historical things finding an audience today.
It really does. A forgotten prototype brought back by an Instagram post. That's kind of amazing.
It's a great story. A real mix of old rarity and new connectivity.
Okay, so beyond the incredible backstory, let's talk about the look, because this watch is visually striking, especially the dial. Our sources point to Gene Singer as the designer, and they identify him as among the most celebrated dial makers in Switzerland. That's quite a name.
Oh, absolutely. Gene Singer is legendary in watch circles, and this is key.
Yeah.
His, let's say, unusual and exotic approach is something you see in a lot of really iconic watch styles throughout history.
Like what other examples?
Well, think about watches like the Omega Speedmaster Racing or the Hoyer Skipper. He had a hand in those distinctive looks. He's even connected to the modern Space One brand.
Right.
So his involvement isn't just, a name drop. It has real artistic weight and, frankly, collectability.
And you really see that artistry on the Chronosport Blue dial. It's got this textured blue finish, although we should mention there's a black version, too. It came out in 2024.
Right, they added the black dial later.
But the main feature, these two embossed black subdials, really prominent at 9 and 12 o'clock.
And that's pure Singer. You can immediately see his touch there. That exotic print on the subdials. It's almost a direct echo of his work on the famous Paul Newman Rolex Daytona subdials, specifically the reference 6239.
The Paul Newman Daytona. Okay, that's iconic. Known for its dial.
Exactly. And Singer's unique style is a huge part of why that watch is so sought after. So functionally, on the Chronosport, the subdial at 9 is your small seconds, just ticking away.
Yeah.
And the one at 12, that's the 30-minute counter for the chronograph.
Got it. And what about the rest of the dial elements, the hands?
So you've got black hour and minute hands.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward, but they're filled with superluminova, for reading it in the dark.
Good lume is always important.
Definitely. And the applied indices, the hour markers, they also have these little matching lume dots at the ends. Nice touch.
And there's a date window, too.
Yep, neatly framed over at 3 o'clock. Then around the very edge, you've got a tachymeter scale.
For measuring speed, if you're into that.
Right. And just inside that, a detailed track for the minutes and the chronograph seconds. Our sources mention that even subtle color differences compared to maybe earlier mock-ups or prototypes add up to a, quote, significant visual difference. It all comes together nicely.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about the physical watch. The case, how it wears, it's stainless steel with vintage-inspired proportions, is how our source puts it. So 38 millimeter diameter,
Which is a pretty classic size, very wearable for most people.
but the height is 15.7 millimeters, and the lug-to-lug is 43 millimeter. That height, 15.7, that sounds substantial.
Yeah, the source notes it's definitely bulky, and apparently it has a surprising amount of weight on the wrist, so it feels solid.
Okay, so it has presence, but does it wear... Okay,
Seems so. The source says it wears well, but adds a little note that, yeah, it might be snug under a dress shirt cuff.
fair enough. For a watch with this kind of vintage tool watch vibe, maybe a bit of bulk is expected, right?
I think so. And the case finishing sounds really nice. Mostly brushed steel, but with these bold, polished lateral bevels along the sides. That contrast usually looks great.
And the bezel.
It's a fluted, unidirectional, rotating bezel. So it clicks around, only turns one way for safety if you're timing something. It has a black aluminum insert. That insert has the main 60-minute scale, but also a smaller 12-hour scale inside that, and a little yellow loom pip right at the 12 o'clock position.
Standard chrono pushers at 2 and 4.
Yep, classic setup. And an oversized screw-down crown, which is key to achieving that impressive 200 meters of water resistance.
200 meters. That's actually quite robust for a chronograph like this.
It really is. Makes
Yeah.
it pretty versatile, not just a dress piece.
I'm protecting that lovely dial.
A double-domed AR sapphire crystal. So sapphire is very scratch-resistant. AR means anti-reflective coating, cuts down glare. And the double-domed shape gives it that nice vintage look, avoids distortion at the edges.
Nice. And the back.
Solid screw-in case back, keeps it secure. And, importantly for anyone buying it, they mention a smorgasbord of strap options.
Ah, a smorgasbord. So lots of choices.
Yeah, beyond the standard 3-link steel bracelet, which looks pretty unique itself, there are leather, rubber, fabric options. So finding the right look and fit shouldn't be a problem for you.
Good to know. Okay, what about the engine inside? The movement.
It's running the ETA Valjoux 7750, an automatic cam lever chronograph.
7750, that's a name a lot of watch folks will recognize.
Oh, yeah. It's probably one of the most famous and widely used automatic chronograph movements ever. A real proven workhorse, known for being reliable, robust.
What are the specs on that?
Let's see, 25 joules. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, which is 4 hertz. That gives a chronoseconds hand that nice, smooth sweep.
8 beats per second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it has a power reserve of about 42 hours. Standard stuff, central hours, minutes, the main chronograph seconds hand, then you have the 30-minute counter at 12, small seconds at 9, and the date function at 3.
So a very capable, well-regarded movement powering it all.
Absolutely. Nothing too fancy maybe, but incredibly solid and dependable. You know what you're getting.
Okay, so bringing it all together, the story, the design, the specs. What about the price? What does this cost you? Our source quotes retail prices of EUR $2,395 on a strap and EUR $2,625 if you opt for the steel bracelet.
All right. Around the 2,400 to 2,600 euro mark.
And the assessment from the source is pretty straightforward. They say this pricing isn't bad for such a stylish and historic Swiss chronograph with Gene Singer-style design. Would you agree? Is it good value?
I think it is. Considering everything we've talked about,
Yeah.
that unique prototype origin story, the direct connection to Gene Singer's design legacy, and having a powerhouse like the Valjoux 7750 inside, yeah, it presents a really compelling package. There are definitely other chronographs you could buy in this price range.
Sure.
But how many offer this specific blend? The genuine historical angle,
Yeah.
the really distinctive look, the solid mechanics. It feels like more than just a watch. It's like owning a piece of rediscovered history.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that wraps up our deep dive into the Nivada Grenchen Chronosport Blue. It really is a fascinating piece, resurrected from, like you said, a nearly mythical prototype, graced by the artistry of Gene Singer. A solid movement inside, all at a price point that feels, pretty attainable for what you're getting.
A modern classic with a genuinely amazing backstory.
Definitely proves that sometimes the best designs are just out there waiting for their moment,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And it does make you think, doesn't it? In this age where we're always looking back and reinterpreting history, what's the real significance of bringing an unproduced design to life like this? Makes you wonder what other lost ideas, maybe not just in watches, but in any creative field, are just sitting there, waiting for discovery, maybe waiting for that viral spark like this one had. What does that mean for the future of reborn classics? Something to ponder